Call the special school board meeting to order of October 14th. Joe, roll call please.
Tatiana's not here. I got Dick.
Hey, here.
John Westfall here. Howie's not here. Jennifer.
Here.
Joe is here.
Present. Proof of notice.
As listed in the agenda.
Approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Joe,
Second.
second by Jim. Any questions on the agenda? Joe?
Aye.
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 Motion carried 502. Okay, we'll turn it over to Scott, who will probably turn it over to Ron.
Jenny, are you keeping track of this? Because I didn't
Yeah.
have any of the papers.
Yeah, sure, I can take. They're behind your agenda. They're right there in front of you.
Oh, right here? This one?
Yeah.
Oh, they're back here. I was like,
No,
no, that's a packet. Yeah.
no, you should have the minutes.
The other piece is,
I
the way
just,
we have the agenda set up, is that you could,
Oh, there it is. Ah, we're good.
there's two ways. You could have a budget presentation, or you could actually have approve a resolution. And right now, the resolution would be pretty open, so why don't we just do the presentation?
Sure.
Okay, so you're right.
Joe and Jim.
Joe, you come up.
Okay, so late last week we got updated equalized values that end up on the revenue limit worksheet. Prior to last Monday's meeting, in speaking with Joe, we added 42 million, or we figured 42 million in additional city of Mayville equalized value. It ended up being much more than that over all of the municipalities. And that increase in equalized value drastically lowered the tax levy. So there's some strategic things that can be done. Right now, Scott has the equalized value by municipality up there. So it's $664,827,720. And I think our report last Monday had that equalized value at $595 million. So it went up $69 million. The reason I didn't grab the number when I found it was because it was an 11% increase from last year. And we'll see on a sheet as we go on that typically the biggest increase we've seen in the last 5 years is 3%. And 2 of those years was actually a value decline.
Yeah. So we contacted our financial advisor at Baird just to confirm, and he went to the state resource and pulled the same exact dollar amounts that Ryan already had. So like, okay, so we've now have 2 data points, so we feel pretty confident that this is accurate.
Which, yeah.
State of Wisconsin, the one disclosure about everything tonight is the state of Wisconsin still doesn't get that finalized until October 15th.
That's why it's weird that Mike, the guy from Baird, gave us that number that we found, but I checked with a guy from DPI a week earlier, and he said they'll go on the revenue limit worksheet on the 15th. He didn't give any direction, like you could find this number here. And that would be the number. So, anyways, the first page after those equalized value is the new revenue limit worksheet. Can you move that?
Oh, yeah.
Down the scroll?
Looking at the paper packet,
Because I'm just gonna walk up here.
so tiny.
The equalized value is down in the kind of the lower left here, so that's where you'll find the $664 million. The levy rate is right here, but you won't be able to see that either. It's $8.56,872, and what we had presented last week, we'll get to later on. I think it was around 9.5. So it really lowered the taxes, and the thing that we're going to discuss tonight is really keeping that levy rate from going up and down. After the middle school got paid off, it was like a year too early because then the referendum passed, so it dropped from over $10 down to like $8.81, and the referendum passed and you went back up. Well, now you could end up trending right back down, and then next year you could end up going back up. So there's a way to make it where it's a little level. And the district also benefits from that in terms of possibly paying off the referendum debt quicker. And in turn, the taxpayers can even benefit because their school district is saving a little bit of money on interest. So that revenue limit worksheet is as of today. DPI has not populated some of their cells yet, but that's the number that we believe will end up filtering in there on October 15th. So the page behind that goes into something that we actually talked at our Baird budget model workshop in December, is a possibility if we ever need it, and that's cash defeasance. Some of the stuff I've highlighted on here, which will be in more detail on the next page. So when I say Fund 39, that's our referendum account, so that's our referendum levy. Some of the stuff I highlighted on this page, Fund 39 levy is based on scheduled payments originally established when a bond is issued. So we do have a set payment that we need to make this year. There are actually two payments. The first one, I believe, is in December or January. It's for about 1.2 million. About 750,000 is paying down principal. The rest is interest, and then we also levy for our interest-only payment in September. So that total is about $1.6 million. On here it says, over time it may be beneficial for some school districts to intentionally levy an additional amount to apply toward the financial strategy of a cash defeasance. That next paragraph, cash defeasance uses additional tax levy or cash to pay off a portion of an existing bond issue. The levy or cash is deposited into an escrow account earning interest until the call date or the prepayment date of the old bonds. On the call date, the defeased debt is paid off using the initial cash plus interest earned in the account.
So one of the things, like from talking to Mike Clark about that, so the board on an annual basis approves the levy. So we have an annual meeting, which they also approve the levy, but the final authority to approve the levy lies with the Board of Education. And every year, they're not, I don't think they're exactly the same. There's a little tweaking that sometimes occurs with that. But when it comes to defeasance, the board has the right to levy additional funds to pay off those bonds as they choose to. So you went to referendum to approve borrowing, one-time borrowing, right, is what happened. It was a one-time borrowing in the form of $24.5 million in these bonds. That's what the referendum was about. Paying it off, that really is the Board of Education's responsibility to levy taxes in order to do so. So as long as you're working within the reasonable amount to pay off the bonds themselves, like in this instance, there is room for the Board of Education in considering doing this cash defeasance, paying off an additional amount. And right here it talks about this call date. So tonight, the discussion is about what's a comfortable dollar amount to consider paying off. But the actual, when it gets paid, it's a separate conversation. And you can look at the 20-year payback schedule and determine when these bonds sunset and when is the right time to pay that off. When are you going to call that bond out for as far as the call date goes? So that's a TBD, that's another deal. I think it's interesting to share. One, you set the amount. There's a benefit of letting it just sit there because it generates interest. And then when you pay off that bond, it could be a wash. So it could be an immediate payment. It could be a payment this summer. It could be a deferred payment even, just based upon what is the right thing to do based with our financial advisor coming up and meeting with us and discussing it. So you keep going, Ryan, and then I'll chime in one more time.
Okay, so under the chart on the right, I highlighted a couple of things. Additional long-range planning benefits include improved debt capacity and debt ratios, increased flexibility for funding future capital needs with lower cost debt structures, and it's viewed upon favorably during a credit rating review. And then below it says, the best time to start thinking about a cash defeasance is during the budget development process. The additional amount for the defeasance would be included on the revenue limit worksheet and approved with the district's annual tax certification.
So that's it. That's as simple as defeasance is. So you decide how much additional you'd like to pay off towards that, the bonds, and then we have to follow up with a financial advisor to determine the best timing to call the bonds out for payment. So we would just need to work with Baird to determine that next amortization schedule is the deal.
Wouldn't it have been better for us to pay off that other debt?
That's a separate thing, and that other debt, that little sliver, is within our operating budget. So it's not, it's separate. So this specifically is.
And the dollar amount that we're talking about, is it feasible?
So here's what's going on. You got.
Well, the games we've played to get the interest we did get, and when you were buying or selling the bonds,
Correct.
there's, everyone's at a different period, different value, and
Mhm.
It's huge if you're able to levy more and put towards it. You're talking, I always look at the school district as constricting.
but the other side's gotta be willing too, don't they? You can't.
So you don't wanna
Oh,
be
no.
paying penalties?
No, you won't be paying penalties. So there's no penalties in this, because no matter what, you can still stick it in there and gain interest on it, so you got two different things working for you.
So right now, there are neighboring school districts that this is a regular.
Yeah, this is a
practice
practice.
for them based upon.
You could call the bonds early. We're able to call the bonds anytime.
I was surprised when we did it once before, that they were willing to do it, because they were getting good interest from us, and they cashed them in that time.
They
The
can-
lower 'em.
They can go out and get better ones then.
Yeah, gives them the cash flow and there's more business out there. So that's as simple as it is. So you have an opportunity to levy additional dollars, working within what you believe as the Board of Education is a mill rate that is the right fit for our community.
What
I think
is-
that's what's really.
What is
important.
$1 million?
We'll show
We
you.
had that as a
It's coming up.
worksheet.
So the page behind it is debt defeasance. This is really just the 5 high points that we just covered, just in the little box format, so we've already really discussed all of them. Now, the next page is a historical chart of what's been going on in multiple areas. So this is the past 5 years of mill rates, tax valuations, and then the actual dollar amount tax levy. So the valuation, you can see in 2015 was $567,641,000. Over the next 2 years, it went down 0.62% and 0.39%. In 18, it went up about 2%, and then 2019, it went up 3.76%. So it hasn't really, the equalized valuation number hasn't really gone up. And you can see, as we presented on October 7th, we kind of just grabbed last year's number, because the other number that was sent to me in the spring was around $596 million, so very little change, not enough to do an impact. But then we found this other number of $664 million last week, and that is 11.65% increase. So to the right of that, you'll see the actual, basically, mill rates by every fund. So the general fund, the non-referendum fund, the referendum fund, and then the new this year, Fund 80, the community fund. So when we presented on October 7th, the mill rate was 9.57. With that new populated 664 million, it's at 8.57, so it dropped by $1. And if you see the trend there, in 2015 it was 9.68, 2016 it was 10.57, and then the middle school referendum was paid off in that year, so the following year was 8.81, because you lost $1.14 of Fund 39. And then 2018, that's the first year you're going to get impacted with the new referendum, and that jumped it to 11.04. And then this past year was 10.18. So it continues to go down, and that's where you get back into the game of, do you want it to keep going up and down?
Yeah, but it's not necessarily going up and down based upon valuation, so you
It's
gotta be
gonna
careful
stay
with
lower.
that, so, yeah.
It's gonna
So
drop.
like the 1104 to 1018 is okay, so because based upon the new valuation.
Yeah.
Even if we take this valuation, if we take the 10.18 times that by 0.04, subtract that from 10.18, you'll come up with your answer of what I think, no matter what, we should exceed. So,
Did the
So
evaluation of the
calculation.
town, is there that much new stuff, or did the value of each house just go up?
okay, so here's what happened. You got two things. You got the valuation of houses going up, minus the 10. So what happens is a valuation of a house goes up, we need to watch our levy. Now, what happens is we got an artificial, which is, although not artificial, I'm just trying to make a a thing, you got an artificial big amount of valuation. It wasn't on the tax rolls. All of a sudden, it's like, surprise, that I'm on the tax rolls now. It's been staying off the tax rolls. So what's happening is you've got a lot of extra valuation that's helping the tax base out all of a sudden. So you got an opportunity now to levy. Now, I would always, if you do the calculations, literally, you take 10.18 times 0.04, you subtract that from 10.18, it'll be like negative 9.77, whatever. That's what you should exceed. So, or the 9.77, you shouldn't exceed 9.77 in my mind, because we're looking, no matter what, I think we're comfortable and safe to say that we're probably not going to go above 4% added valuation. But remember, the fluff is what you got, or that surprise, here's a whole bunch of extra stuff that wasn't in the tax base last year, but now is with the TIF closing out. Because what's happening with the TIF, they siphon that money and they put it in a separate pot.
I mean, they really do a lot of, the original TIF isn't all like it is.
Correct. So with that added valuation, if I look at it, you just run some numbers, and I've already ran some numbers all over the place, you've got an opportunity to put up to 798,700 plus or minus in there into a Fund 39. That's a major amount.
That's a major
Now,
amount,
here's
yeah.
what you do is you put that amount, you back off 4% every year of that amount. Because remember, now your valuation's coming
I know
up.
where you're coming from.
So you're just, let's levy what you can this year. Next year, we levy 4% less, based upon that extra levy. Next year, we levy 4% less, and we continue.
Where's the 4% coming from? I'm not sure I'm
4%
getting
is
that
based
part.
upon, now the valuation's going up, and it should roughly be anywhere between 2 and 4. 4% is a very conservative number.
Okay.
If we went higher than 4% valuation, I'd fall over and get shocked.
Yeah,
But,
if you look at the trend out of the
Yep,
5 years.
if you look at the
Okay.
trend,
Okay.
4% is a very conservative
Okay.
number. It kind of really
So
saves you.
use
You
a
can fluctuate.
conservative number.
I'm using a
for
very
estimating.
conservative, so what's happening is,
I think it's an
if
aggressive
your
number.
house, well, I
It's an
think
aggressive number.
Correct.
Saying, hey, we're gonna go by 4%, and that's
very,
conservative for the
yeah, it's
purpose of-
conservative for the
Yes.
purpose of
Yeah.
us, so
Yeah.
we don't get hit on taxes. So
Thank
what's
you.
happening is, next year, your taxes are gonna go up because your valuation of your house went
Right.
up 4%.
Right.
But then if we're backing off 4% of this extra amount, it's really the same amount.
Okay,
So, does that
okay,
make
okay,
sense?
yeah, I got it, because, I mean, my big picture understanding is that because of this increase in valuation, we're getting more from the state than we expected.
No, this is in state, this
Excuse
is
me.
local levy.
Local,
So,
yes,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
This is from a TIF closing.
Yes.
And you gotta remember, this is just Mayville.
Yes,
Correct.
yes, yes.
in the
Correct.
township.
But we have the opportunity to not go strictly by what this form says when you plug in these new numbers, to make the mill rate higher and smartly use that money.
You smartly use the money to pay
Yeah.
off, because I look at it as, if you're
Yep.
constricting in your tax, or not the tax base, if you're constricting because of numbers in a school district, we've already started going down in our thing.
Right.
We've got an opportunity to
Mhm.
fix those issues and to be able to strategically plan the school
Mhm.
district into a much better position for the future.
Financial position.
So, you know, I'm talking not a little bit of improvement in financial position, I'm talking a major difference in
the first
financial
interest,
position.
which is not-
And it's worth it to the
Yeah, to
taxpayers.
get this, right, to take that and start paying it off right away.
Pay it off right away, exactly, but it puts you, well, here's the thing,
It reduces your time period.
it reduces your time period, so what's happening is your reduction, you're just basically plugging some numbers in, you're talking a major reduction in time period, but it perhaps your school district, for many different scenarios, I think, if something needs to be done because we continue to decline, if something needs to be done because of whatever, you've put yourself in a very good strategic position for the future.
And the only thing that makes a difference is how the township's valuations varies. And I thought Town Threset just got reassessed, and I don't see any difference.
We didn't get that too, well, we did, yeah, we did, we pulled it, so it would have been in there. That's what we believe is gonna be final.
We didn't
So
show
that
the
would be the
prior
one-
year numbers
The one thing I'm gonna say is like, that's not a final document.
Yeah, that's not a final
right?
number, so it'll still
So-
come at us, and you can plus or minus.
Right.
anything
So
at this
that's
point.
the one caveat tonight I wanna say, is we're still waiting for that document, but trying to follow the schedule that needs for us to get something in the paper, we really need to do it tonight.
Yeah.
And we've already submitted a document, and after tonight, we have time to do some edits in the morning. But after that, that's what the published budget is
Oh, yeah,
going to
it did
be.
go up.
So, we believe this is all spot on, but just putting it out there. You
I
never know
don't
what
think
you
the
get.
mill rate should exceed, me personally, 9.77, just based upon simple math. That's me personally. Then from there, we take
So-
all that extra
That's around
cash.
$800,000.
Yep, we take all that extra cash at that point. And I know we talked about Fund 48 as well. 46, yep, we talked about
What
Fund
is 46, just for my,
Separate.
That would be a separate, you're not supposed to touch for 5 years capital. But did
And
we
we're all
find out
set.
if that's gonna give us
For
anything?
capital
We did.
improvements.
We'll get to that coming up. I guess they kind of go along with this.
They do go along.
Okay, so on this document, the top is a mill rate, because that really, if you're, what matters are what's happening with the property values. Okay, so right now, we were 957, we're projecting to go down to 857. So what is the board's comfort level for a dollar amount? So we have, in both of these scenarios, we have a levy amount, we need $1 to put in there. And then we actually need a mill rate comfortable zone. I mean, we may not get exactly to the penny here, everybody, so you really, as a board, you have to prove what is the additional dollar amount we're gonna put into that Fund 39 part of the worksheet, okay? So we have a minimum, you have the payment set the way it is, the way we present it. Now, it's, what is your comfort level for whatever's to be added to that?
My
okay?
comfort level is not to exceed 9.77 or somewhere thereabouts, plus or minus the tiny bit.
And that's a good number, because on our tax bill, we get Lamira's and we get Hartford's. And Lamira, I think, is in the 11s, and so is Oregon.
Okay, I can't speak to those.
That was last year.
Yeah.
Well, that was
We can
last
get
year,
them easily.
they'll drop down,
I
so.
can
they're
easily
allowed
get
to
their
be-
revenue limit worksheet in a week from now.
You can get it right now.
Yeah,
Probably.
they're draft versions.
Yeah, it won't be, you could look at last year.
Probably
Remember,
about
does the pieces every
10,
single year. $800,000 is what they've been doing.
Yep.
Just, it's the right fit for them.
So the numbers at the bottom actually show the pure dollar amounts of what the levy
And
is.
that'll be plus or minus, everybody should cover it too, adjusted.
Okay.
Where do you come up with the 9.77 number?
Okay, so what I'm doing, I take the current, right here, you take the current mill rate, 10.18, I times that by 0.04, which is a 4% increase in valuation, you got 0.4072 minus 10.08, that comes up with, or whatever the heck it is, you do all the math. So- I messed up my math,
I'll just put it in
but
this
it's-
worksheet right
Nope.
now, and everybody can see it.
yeah, if you
Yep,
could say the
get it
numbers
on
again,
there.
because it would be helpful just to
10
see it all.
Yeah, 10.18 times that by 0.04. Because that's the 4% increase in valuation that we're gonna have. Don't think of the TID yet. The TID's not in this number. So then you're gonna subtract, basically, you would take theirs, that's what we should be decreasing right there in order for that added valuation. That's what we should be decreasing, 0.4072, so you could simply subtract 10.18 from 0.4072, just so everyone kind of understands it. I work in negative numbers all the time. There you go. No, I really do, so I just do it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it
You
doesn't
do it,
matter.
you just
Your
your
target
Yeah,
number is
I
So,
understand.
9.7.
yep, so really, that's where I'm coming up, and I think we shouldn't
About
exceed
800,000.
that,
Okay,
so.
so you gotta pick a number.
And that's a conservative estimate, so, and you can always fluctuate that, that's my personal opinion.
So now,
I think you
let's
should
go into
see.
the next top, so now you got a zone, right?
Yep.
So that's a zone. So based upon our conversation that we've had, like, I shouldn't say conversation, based upon the resources that Ryan and I went and calculated for everybody, we have 500,000 would actually result in a mill rate of 932. Then we have 825 resulted in the 981. Because even in our conversations, we're thinking in that zone too,
Yeah.
because you have to take into account the increased property value.
Correct.
Got it.
So, and remember, my
Agreed.
estimates, I'm probably over what property values are
So-
coming at, just to be conservative.
They really did go, I mean, for this year, They really did have a large increase in property value, so in addition to the tip. Because the tip was only the.
Yeah, no, they did. They had a,
Yeah. All right, so, the other option is I could pull a revenue limit worksheet now, fill out the entire thing while we're watching